Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of the program Ladies of Ashoura. Fatima and I have been going through a couple of sessions talking about the different women and the role that they played in the event of Ashura, and most important than that, after that calamity in having the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, which was reviving the sunnah of his grandfather, the noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, alive. In the past couple of episodes, we talked about the different categories of women. In this episode, we would like to talk about 5 features that these ladies who were present in Karbala possessed, or we can somehow say that the function that they played, the important role that they played in the land of Karbala.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum everybody. I hope you're doing great. I don't know if you watched the previous episodes that we covered on the women of Ashura, and I really personally feel very grateful to be able to have the responsibility and have the chance and opportunity to actually present to you the women who are less highlighted in the event of the uprising of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. I hope that we can inshallah be able to cover them as much as we can, and I pray to Allah to give us the power and the ability and the eloquence to actually outline the role of these women. So like Razia said, inshallah, we're going to start today by covering the role that the women played in the uprising of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Role number 1 was that they were the supporters of their husbands and the encouragers of their husbands to join Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Like we know, the women of Kufa also played a very crucial role in convincing their husbands to leave Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because all of them would bring excuses for their husbands. Some would say, if you go, your children will become orphans, your wife is going to become a widow, so your place is in your house, not with Imam Hussein. So they actually convinced their husbands to leave Abu Abdullah. But the women who were present in the plain of Karbala, or the women who maybe themselves they were not present, but they encouraged their husbands to join Abu Abdullah. Now, among these women, we can name, the one that comes to my mind is the
wife of Zuhair.
The wife of Zuhair, that her husband was actually reluctant to join Imam Hussein, but she said, woe be upon you, are you refusing to help the son of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi while he is asking for your help? And so he joined.
Yeah, and the other lady that we can mention was Khalaf. Remember that she was there with her husband and her son, and once her husband was martyred, Imam Hussein alayhi salam told Khalaf's son to stay with his mother and to support her, because after the martyrdom of Khalaf's husband, she was left without any supporter. But very proudly, Khalaf told her son Khalaf to go join Imam Hussein, and he said, I'm sure that soon you will be satiated from the pond of Kawthar. And she encouraged him.
And also Wahab was also one of these women. I think I made a mistake when I said these people who encouraged their husbands. There were people who encouraged their sons. Actually, there were mothers who encouraged their sons to
wives,
join. Exactly.
Sisters. Another one, like source, another function that we can mention is supporting their loved ones in moments of grief and agony. Of course,
sympathizing with them.
To sympathize with them, to say that we're there, to be with you, to support you, we understand you, and we are supporting you. You know, we are side by side, paving your path. And for like a practical instance that we can mention is the case of Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, where after the martyrdom of Ali Akbar, when Imam Hussein alayhi salam was, of course he had lost his son, Lady Zainab approached him and he said, our dear son has been
away.
Martyred, and she approached him in a supportive, loving way. The third function that we can mention for them is is the fact that they were defenders of their imam. And this is, I think, the most important role that these women played, because after all, their presence in Karbala, all the effort and their energy that they put was to say that we understand the truth. We understand the difference between oppression and the truth. We have chosen the way of, following the noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then his progeny, his purified progeny, in the fact that they understood well, they quite well understood the Imam of their time, and they wanted to support, the Imam with all the power, all the strength
that they had,
everything that they had. For example, not only Imam Hussein, we can mention the fact that Lady Zainab was by his side in all the different occasions and phases of his life, and not only his life, but on specifically focusing on the event of Ashura. But we can mention the role that Lady Zainab played with regards to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, or Ali ibn al-Hussein, where on different occasions the oppressors were going to martyr him. For example, once after the martyrdom of all the males, from the Hashimis and non-Hashimis by Ibn Ziyad, they wanted to attack the tents of women, and when Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein alayhi salam was lying sick, the enemy Shamr wanted to actually martyr him. Lady Zainab became his shield, and he said, you have to pass through me if you want to
kill my nephew.
Exactly. And it was not only his nephew, but the future Imam, right?
And Razia, I wanted to raise awareness about another point. The price that these women paid for their belief was very heavy. It was not a joke that they were becoming widows for the rest of their life. They were becoming the mother of orphans for the rest of their life, And considering the fact that actually the social context of the time was such that when they brought the captives to Sham, they said, oh, the Kharijites have come, the foreigners have come. So there wasn't a very favorable view among the public masses to this family. There was so much brainwashing by the army of Ibn Ziyad, by Umar al-Sad. There was so much propaganda going on that these people, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was considered a foreigner. Just like when Imam Ali alayhi salam was martyred, while he was praying, the people said, did Ali actually pray? There was this much of brainwashing going on at the time of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So these ladies were actually the minority. All of these people were the minority at their time. They were considered who are they fighting for? These are the people who have risen up against the Caliph? God forbid. What are they doing? Shame on them.
And the Caliph was the embodiment of Islam.
Exactly. He was Amir al-Mu'mineen at the time. So consider the fact that this was the social context that they were living in, and then when they are uprising, they are actually rising up against the Caliph of their time, so it wasn't something favorable that was happening. So these women bought heaven at this price for themselves, of encouraging their husbands to go, to get martyred, to be brave, to support Hussein alayhi salam until the very last drop of their blood.
Very beautifully said, really. The way you put it, in the context, you bring it up, a very nice explanation. The fourth role that we can think of for the women of Ashura, for the ladies of Ashura, was the fact that they were very caring nurses, specifically in the procedure, in the event, in those days after the day of Ashura, when all their husbands, brothers, their men, their male in their
figures,
among their male figures were martyred. During the stage of captivity of ladies, there were about, Fatima, 20 ladies present. When I was reading about them, because I was wondering, how many women were there? Was it about 50 or 10 or 5? About 20 women were there, and so among them were girls teenagers, young girls, little kids. So I think like as young as not just women, but like they had the 6 months old Ali Asghar,
who was
the infant with them, and then Lady Zainab was about among the ladies. Lady Zainab was about in her 50s, in her like I think she was like 54 something in that time. And so one of the things that these ladies did brilliantly, because just imagine that the scenario that has been set for them, that brutality that they've witnessed, because like when something small comes up in our life and we become depressed, we're like, oh my God, like my mark wasn't good in my university, I didn't get accepted in the like whatever I wanted to do, or I didn't get married with whoever I wanted, or this has happened for me, so I lose hope in life.
I get depressed.
Yeah, I'm in my blues, so don't talk to me. But these ladies, they had lost like half of their life because considering the Arab society where women are so dependent on their male figures economically, socially speaking, these women had lost like their treasures in their life. But because they had like little children with them, so they had to take care of them. Especially we see a beautiful, magnificent, caring, loving role of Lady Zainab with regards to all the children and women. And I think she's the star of this scene, as she takes care of Ali ibn al-Hussein in the days that he fell sick during the event.
I'm just going to leave the discussion here because I wanted to present some explanation on the beautiful points that Razia mentioned, but unfortunately we are out of time. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed listening to our discussion. Until another program, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wassalamu alaikum.